Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and right now we're going to talk about the February 25th Charleston CBS News debate number 10. We're going to talk about every single opponent that was in this debate, what they said, what their power lines were, what their sour lines were, and specifically, we're going to rank them from winner to loser. And we'll do the ranking first. Let's do that right now. All right, ranked from winner to loser. All right, who won tonight's debate? Well, that was Pete Buttigieg. She knocked it out of the park. He had the absolute best line in the entire debate, without a doubt. And so, essentially, where did he deliver this really powerful, specific line? He said, "This is 2020, and we do not need a race where we have a current president who has nostalgia for the 1950s going against a Democrat candidate who has nostalgia for the revolutionary ideas of the 1960s. What? Yeah. And I get it. That's Pete Buttigieg keying in on exactly what this debate is about. Shockingly, the 2020 presidential primary race ain't about a darn thing. It ain't about climate. It ain't about health care. It ain't about justice reform. It ain't about nothing but age. Age. It's like, are we going to have an 80-year-old president? Or are we going to put in somebody who is going to be able to actually do the job in a physical way? And this is a huge question, because I think what's really being decided right now is, does America buy the line that the president's job isn't physical? To me, it seems clearly like it's a physical job. You need to work. There's incredible strain that it puts you under emotionally, physically, and certainly mentally. That's a scientific fact. There's just no two ways about it. And that kind of strain, if you're going to put that on, a body and a mind and a disposition that has gone through decades of wear, man, but here Pete was keeping it, he was keeping it like above board and going straight at the idea that we have a president who's nostalgic for the 50s and Bernie's nostalgic for the 60s, and Pete's like, I don't give a rat's about either one of those. I realize what current decade it is, and boy is he right. It's absolutely true. Bernie's rolling out, very pro-socialist, exactly the way you would have found, in a, Forrest Gump movie. It's like, it is real thing. He really does carry that 60s sentiment. It's pretty shocking. I was really quite surprised. But Pete absolutely won the night because he had the strongest line. Now, it wasn't hard to win the night because it was a terrible, terrible debate. Andrew Yang's gone. There are no real ideas left. These are all dyed-in-the-wool politicians just squawking at each other over the small, I have less billionaires supporting me than you do. Come on. Are you going to win points on this? It was absurd. Just really sad. Who came in second in the debate? Well, it was Pete. It was Mike Bloomberg, without a doubt. Boy, oh boy, that dude is dangerous. He is truly a wolf among poodles. One of the things that blows my mind is when you go up and down that line, all these politicians are dealing with Bloomberg like he's a threat. Mike Bloomberg ain't a threat. Who phoned this in that Mike Bloomberg is a threat? We've had 3 primaries and caucuses, and he is big old goose egg. His dollar bills ain't bought a thing. He is nothing. He has 0 delegates. 0. Mike Bloomberg is toothless. He has no fangs or claws. He is a declawed cat. I don't know why anybody thinks Mike Bloomberg is dangerous. All his dollars spent has gotten him exactly zilch, right? But every single candidate up there thinks like he's a big deal. He needs to be knocked down. Knocked down from what? From 0 delegates to 0 delegates? Why is anybody even dealing with him like he's a real candidate? He's Steyer level. Right? They're both the only 2 people on the platform. And guess what? America's like, oh, you got money? Who cares? You can't buy an election. This is America. You can't buy an election, right? That kind of corruption noise works elsewhere, but this is America. You can't buy an election, right? And the reality is, neither Steyer nor Bloomberg are trying, and in my opinion, are doing anything illegal to try to buy the election. They're trying to buy the goodwill of the people to get them to vote for them legally, right? All that's legal. But America's like, psh, it takes more than a wallet to become president. Step back, right? But here's the thing. Bloomberg has positioned himself like he's the great white shark among all these guppies. And they all roll around him like he's got real threat, which is stunning. And that comes from, he keeps saying that he knows how to deal with people, and boy is he's proven it, because the media and the candidates are treating him like he's something to worry about. Bloomberg ain't a thing to worry about. He will fade away just the way Steyer's already faded away. By the way, we'll talk about Steyer. He was in here. He's in my positioning. But Mike Bloomberg has literally woven straw into gold. I don't understand why anybody has any concerns for this goose egg nothing candidate, because that's exactly what he is. All his dollars ain't bought him a thing. All right, so it's shocking. Who came in third? Amy Klobuchar. Oh boy, let's talk about it. So Amy Klobuchar did not win third place because of how Amy Klobuchar performed. Amy Klobuchar won third place because of how Elizabeth Warren performed tonight. And the reality is, this is very, very sad. I really wish that Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren could just run like every other candidate. But I think a lot of people have in their mind, this is going to be the first time we have a female president, and people bracket them. And the reality is, because again, you have to break through that barrier of having a female president. And so I think a lot of people group them. And Amy Klobuchar is just crushing compared to Elizabeth Warren. Again, Elizabeth Warren looks incredibly misguided. Elizabeth Warren is attacking Mike Bloomberg. For what? To reduce his numbers from 0 to 0? Your real threat is Pete Buttigieg. Your real threat is Pete Buttigieg. And honestly, I don't think anybody we'll talk about Sanders, but the real threat on the stage is Pete Buttigieg. And the fact that Warren, not only can she not see that, but then she is going fangs out, claws out, straight at Mike Bloomberg. And for what? To knock him down from 0 delegates to 0 delegates? It looks incredibly misguided. It looks like she's not reading the room. And she is looking like she's spending a lot of energy doing something that really isn't helpful, right? And every time you look at Elizabeth Warren, she's on the attack, and she ain't got a smile on her face. Every time you turn to Amy Klobuchar, she's got a great big smile on her face, and she's talking about herself and what she's going to do for the country, rather than some bad things that a zero delegate candidate did a while ago. It's a complete disconnect. And so people are still very interested in a female president. That seems very clear. And then when they look at Elizabeth Warren, they're like, are you even paying attention? You're not even recognizing who the real threat is on the stage. Right? So that's that. So Amy's up because Warren's down. Right? So Amy Klobuchar was third. Let's talk about Sanders. He came in fourth. Bernie Sanders came in fourth. Bernie is incredibly smart. He's passionate and he believes what he says. I get all that, right? But this socialism thing ain't going nowhere. We literally started the debate with it. I swear, a bat flew down from the rafters and called Bernie a socialist during the middle of the debate. It was this is a drumbeat rhythm that does not stop. And I think the reason why is I think the Dems know Bernie Sanders is a deadlock win for Trump. You can pack it up. It's over. So I think it's frightening to people. People are very, very scared about that situation. All right. So who came in fifth? That was Elizabeth Warren. And I already told you reasons why. Brilliant lady, great politician, but she's not reading the room. She's just not seeing the facts on the ground right now, and she's really just losing ground. And boy, I will. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I feel a little bad for her because like you could tell she's really working hard for this, and she's very genuine how much she cares about all this. My heart goes out to her. Biden, he came in sixth. Biden came in sixth. Oh my goodness. It's so clear that he's just out of it. The reality is Biden never wanted to run for president. He just wanted to stop Trump. And that's not enough. You got to want the job. And that's becoming so clear. Like, it's just not enough to do that. And so, I really feel, it was really a very, very serious problem. And also Biden, he lost a lot of ground on this. So there was an interesting question. One of the moderators said, Russia is again tampering with our election because Obama did not respond forcibly. And then would you do a retaliatory cyber attack? First of all, listen to the question, and it tells you how bad the Democrats are at the idea of using a military. I can't even remember which one. One of the candidates said that we don't have a commander-in-chief. Well, if you think that's true now, boy, wait till you see what happens when we have a commander-in-chief with the Democrats. They have no idea what to do with the military. That's super clear, right? And that moderator was 100% right. The Russians feel very, very safe meddling in our election, right? In fact, I think the only thing the Russians are upset about is that Iowa clearly beat them in messing up our elections, did a much, much better job of tanking any belief that we can actually count our own votes and do a good job of running an election on the Democrat side. The only thing that the Russians are upset about is just that we're doing a better job of, messing up our own process than they're doing. We're doing a better job trying to fix our process than they're doing trying to break it. That could be upsetting to somebody. I could see that. But boy, it was a serious problem. So one, the Democrat, the Democrat journalist who, and there are no Republican journalists outside of the walls of Fox News at the macro level. So it was like him saying, respond forcibly. Do you really think a cyber attack is forcefully? It's another reason why Americans don't care about any of this, right? Americans ain't getting upset about mean Facebook posts from Russia. Like, come on, it's ridiculous. But the reality is, Russia in 2014, 2015 invaded Crimea, and Obama was like, "Oh, that was terrible. You shouldn't have done that." Do any of these Democrats really think that Russia is going to be afraid of any of their empty threats? Not a single person on that stage has any idea what you would do with 100,000 troops, let alone the U.S. military. So the reality is it's all noise, and the Russians know it, and they're gonna go to town because they know, oh no, sanctions. We'll have to compete with American vodka. It's such a ridiculous threat. It's so absurd. So yeah, it was pretty bad. All right, so who came in last? Steyer, come on, this guy. He's a guy who funded coal companies, and and he's an activist. Please. And then, in addition to that, tonight they talked about him buying a private prison. So look at the optics of this. You got 7 white people talking about issues for Latinos and Native Americans and African Americans. And America's looking at this and going, yeah, we see exactly how much you care for minorities. We're seeing it on stage right now, right? So you can sing all the noise you want, but we know exactly what attention minorities are going to get when we get into the new space, right? And everybody's seeing through this, right? So it's not good. It's not a good look on the Democrats. It's one of the worst things that's happened here. All of the candidates of color are now failing to make the debates, and that is terrible. And and to my knowledge, every single candidate of color is out of the race except Tulsi. Tulsi hasn't been. I don't know. I don't even know what Tulsi looks like anymore. I forget. Because I haven't seen her in 6 months. She better hope that Hillary says something really mean about her soon, because That's about the only way she'd get back. So it was rough. It was a rough night, and it was very, very problematic. There was some really, really interesting things that were said by some of the candidates. One of the things that really shocked me is Tom Steyer talked about his need to impeach action, and he invested a lot of money in it. But that seems really strange. Like, everybody was like, hey, President Trump should not have, done this investigation thing that was against one of his opponents in the election. But then you have somebody on the Democrat side who's spending millions to impeach the president he's running against. And you're like, isn't that a conflict of interest? It seemed weird. Very weird. And it was strange. Buttigieg and Biden double talked over each other constantly. They were talking at the same time for long lengths of time, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's terrible. It sounds bad." It was awesome. Right? I love it, and they're right. Okay, and that and the reality is, like, this is for the Iron Throne, man. This is to sit on the Iron Throne of America. Yeah, go ahead and talk over each other. Like, claws out, fangs out. Let's do it, man. Like, this is it. This is beast mode time, right? This is for all the marbles, and we're getting there. I think we're going to see some candidates dropping soon. One of the things that was absolutely shocking, one of the biggest shocking questions of the night was to Bernie, and they were like, hey, you would be our first Jewish president. No, very few people bring this up, or not in interviews I've heard, but Bernie, I'm a huge fan of the state of Israel. No brainer there. I'm an evangelical Christian. And so, but I'm not sure that it's interesting. It's not positive to me that Bernie is a fan of Israel. Please, somebody explain that to me. It doesn't seem like he is. I could be wrong there. It's hard for me to understand Bernie's relationship with his own heritage, right? So, but I have a lot of sympathy here because I have a strained relationship with my heritages as well, which is so. My heart goes out to Bernie on this one. I thought it was interesting that they even brought that up. It was kind of odd. But then they said, Sanders, would you consider moving Jewish capital out of Jerusalem? That's something that Donald Trump did. I didn't vote for Donald Trump, and I have to say, this was like a gift to me. I loved it when they moved the Israeli capital to Jerusalem. I didn't ask for it, but I got it. Like, sorry, everybody. I didn't vote for it, but I got it, right? And they're saying, would you move it back to Tel Aviv? And Bernie's like, yeah, I'd totally consider that. And I was like, whoa, that seemed really odd. Then Bloomberg crushed this question. I couldn't believe it. Bloomberg, he is a smart dude. He killed this question. He crushed. He had the best answer of the night on international affairs. He said, Bloomberg said that they should leave the capital in Jerusalem because the last president did it, and we need to start making a point of letting things that other presidents did stand rather than tearing them down. That seems smart. In addition to this, he said, the problem with Israel is there are two people who both think God gave them the land. Amen, brother. Like, you hit the nail on the head. That is the problem. That is absolutely the problem. His solution was terrible, though. He said, you have to split up the land. And I'm like, did you read that part of the Bible where, I think it was Solomon was like, split the baby? No, it's a terrible solution. I didn't like that at all. Okay, so, and then Warren was like, this is not our issue. We need to back off and let these foreign parties decide this on their own. That's a great position, Elizabeth Warren. Why don't you feel that way about climate change? Let's let China do what they want. Why should we be dictating what they should do with their factories and with their chemical, output and all that kind of thing? Seems a little odd. All right. One of the moderators called Joe Biden a gentleman. That was a weird moment. Particularly the dynamics of it was very strange. I was like, that looked odd. Yeah, it was really. Then they asked him things about what were the biggest misconceptions about them. And Amy Klobuchar, I love Amy Klobuchar. She's definitely my favorite among this candidate group. And she said that I'm not boring. But the problem is, if you're trying to tell people you're not boring by telling them you're not boring, that ain't gonna work. I Actually, Bernie Sanders had a line that my wife really liked. He said, "Everything is impossible until it happens." It was a really strong line. A ton of people quoted the Bible. Elizabeth Warren quoted the Bible. Matthew 25:40. Pete Buttigieg quoted the Bible. By the way, Warren said the line she did was, "As you did it to one of the least of these, you did it to me." The other thing that I think is really interesting, though, is everybody was quoting the Bible, but nobody speaks Jesus Christ's name. There you go. That's one of the biggest problems we have in the nation right now. So that is my rankings, and that is my coverage. That's what I think happened tonight in the debate, but I'd love to hear what you think. All that's my opinion, but I would like to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.